If you're not paying attention, you'll drive right past them. On the side of Route 102 in Exeter, Rhode Island, next to a kennel and beyond stretches of farmland, stand 3 granite markers. Covered in lichen and weathered by time, most of the engraved letters have been worn off the surface of the stones. One still remains partially visible. You can make out the name Wawaloam and the word squaw, a term which we now know is offensive for a Native American woman. From what survives in the written records, we know that Wawaloam was a Narragansett woman who lived in Aspenonsic, what is current-day Exeter Hill, in the mid-17th century. She was the daughter of the Nipmuc sachem Sequasin and married to the Narragansett sachem Miantomono. Though you can't read the inscription today, one of the other boulders is dedicated to Miantonomo, which might be a familiar name for those of you well-versed in Rhode Island history. Along with his uncle, the great sachem Canonicus, he met with Roger Williams when Williams first settled Rhode Island in 1636. Other records show that Miantonomo and Wawaloam visited colonial leaders such as Massachusetts Bay Colony Governor John Winthrop and took part in land transactions. Our last written record of her is a signed affidavit from June 25, 1661, affirming one such transaction. But aside from settler records, we have stories. Stories that tell us that Wawaloam's final resting place is located beneath an unmarked stone boulder and a large oak tree, which now sit, relatively undisturbed, in the middle of the parking lot of Wawaloam Elementary School in Exeter. Down the street, Wawaloam is found carved into the sign of a family campground. Her name may be familiar to locals, but not necessarily because of the boulder monuments dedicated to her. One is on private property, established in the 19th century by William Bailey, who engraved Wawaloam, wife of Miantonomo, 1661, onto a boulder on his property. The other is among the 3 on Route 102, erected in 1923 as part of a greater monument building project proposed by the Indian Council of New England. But there wasn't universal support. Gladys Tantaquidgeon of the Mohegan tribe objected to the Exeter Hill stones, and instead suggested that educational projects could raise better public awareness about Native peoples. At dedication ceremonies for Western monuments like these, Native attendees who showed up to demonstrate the living presence of their communities were sidelined and silenced. And the monuments themselves helped legitimize settler claims that Native Americans had disappeared, carving a European version of history into stone. Wawaloam is one of 2 women commemorated by freestanding boulders in Rhode Island, and was likely recognized because her visibility in political life was anomalous to and admired by the European American men who commissioned the monuments. This reasoning does not align with Indigenous ways of knowing, which recognize the centrality of women like Wawaloam to the social and cultural vitality of the tribal community. And while Western boulders may disempower Indigenous communities, natural features are important places of remembrance for the Narragansett and other New England Native communities, as physical markers of memory. They tell a story through geography, not inscription. When looking at monuments to Wawaloam, we see how memories diverge and get simplified. Her story reminds us of the hardships the Narragansett tribe faced during the colonial period. For now, she may be forgotten in plain sight, but if you drive down 102, you can take a moment to stop and reflect on her presence there today.